Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show set up for you. Yep, Pat Forde, he's on the attack again. Man, this guy hates the VOLS.
Let the hate flow through you.
Yep, Emperor Palpatine knows. He knows Pat. He knows him well. Let's get into this story. Man, I'm telling you, the second anything goes wrong with Tennessee, Pat Forde pounces. And this is by Zach Reagan at A to Z Sports. It says, Pat Forde takes predictable cheap shot at Nico Iamaleava and the VOLS after Tennessee's loss to Arkansas. Haven't heard a word from Pat the first 4 games when we went 4-0, but suddenly he's got to chime in. I'm shocked. And Zach says, Tennessee fans had to know it was coming after UT's loss to the Razorbacks this past weekend on the road. Said they had to know Sports Illustrated's Pat Forde was at his keyboard, likely with a big grin, eager to bring up VOLS quarterback Nico's NIL deal and the NCAA inquiry into that deal from earlier this year after Tennessee's loss to the Razorbacks. Now, we all know what happened there. Nico received a plane ride from California to Knoxville for a recruiting visit. The NCAA wanted to charge Tennessee with a big-time recruiting violation because he got a plane ride from California. What the heck was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to hitchhike? Maybe do the backstroke, come up through Louisiana? I mean, it's insane. And here's the other thing. What NIL rules would have been broken anyway?
Right now, there are no rules around how name, image, and likeness works. And for your audience, that's the opportunity for student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness and their,
Yeah, Charlie Baker said there were no rules, right? Well, there are none anymore anyway. And let's talk about this NIL a little bit. The NCAA has been breaking the rules and the law for umpteen years. And if you don't think so, just look at the Alston case. It went up to the Supreme Court. It got voted down 9-0. And they said the NCAA is breaking the law by not allowing people to make a living playing football. You can't get the Supreme Court to vote 9-0 on anything. They wouldn't vote together if somebody said 2 pieces of bread with meat in the middle is a sandwich. They wouldn't agree on that. They wouldn't agree that water is wet. But they agreed the NCAA was breaking the law. So the NIL wasn't going to work out anyway. This had really nothing to do with Tennessee, but it did because we kicked their butt about it. And he's still mad about that. And I'm going to tell you what he's really mad about here in a minute. And we all know what it is. He says, Forde, a longtime college football reporter, never misses a chance to take a shot at Tennessee, didn't let those fans down. Says it was 12 hours after the loss he took his shot. Says the Tennessee Attorney General carried big orange water by going to court and nuking the NCAA's power to enforce rules on pay-for-play transactions for recruits. That effectively ended an investigation into Tennessee Volunteers quarterback Nico Iamaleava and his reported $8 million agreement to play for the VOLS. After a stunning upset loss to Arkansas, the question now is what bang Tennessee is getting for all those bucks. He led the VOLS to just 14 points, none in the first half, and their last 5 possessions were all punts, turning the ball over on downs. Iamaleava passed for a season-low 156 yards and ranks 10th in efficiency in league games. Now, that's funny. He didn't mention the fact that this was his first year playing college football, that he's a redshirt freshman. And I'm not shocked that he had a bad game, especially on the road. I actually was surprised it didn't happen earlier. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Heupel's being very conservative with him, not allowing him to run like he did in the Citrus Bowl, where he ran for 3 touchdowns and threw for another. And really, he's a dual threat quarterback. He needs to be able to run. I have not seen him run a single time as far as a play set up for him to run. He's done it a couple of times on some scrambles, but have you seen any quarterback draws? Have you seen him cut up into the lane after one of the edge rushers comes around the corner? That's the perfect time to take off. We used to see Hendon Hooker do that all the time. He loved a quarterback draw. He loved to play for him where it was a run-pass option and he ran. You're just not seeing that. And I think it has to do with the fact that he's protecting him and being very conservative and thinking, I'm going to win with defense until Nico gets, his feet underneath him, which makes some sense. And it's not like we've got a ton of depth behind him. Gaston Moore, he's probably a good quarterback. He's a 5th-year senior or whatever, maybe a 4th year. But, he wasn't some big-time recruit that I'm sure Heupel feels super comfortable with. Plus, he hadn't been able to play a whole lot. So now let's talk about what Pat's really mad about. He has been mad and furious about the fact that the Vols didn't hire Greg Schiano. You know, he was the Rutgers coach at the time. He had been let go as the Tampa Bay coach down there in the NFL, and the players didn't like him. He wasn't, he's not really a player's coach. And he was furious about that. Had to do with Penn State. A lot of people in Tennessee, me being one, I didn't want him because I just didn't like him. I didn't think it was a good hire. And some people didn't like him because of the Penn State connection and all of that. Well, Pat Forde went bananas over it. I mean, he has had it out for the Vols ever since then, and he's had blood in his eye. And he even brought up the fact that he was talking about the death penalty for Tennessee over the Nico thing because we had gotten so much trouble over Jeremy Pruitt in that situation. And we took our lumps for that. We got all the evidence, put it all together, handed it to the NCAA, and said, there you go.
Got the evidence. Put the evidence in the car. But put the evidence in the car.
And we were told that we had shown exemplary cooperation, and the NCAA praised us. Well, I guess because they didn't get enough flesh, they decided to come back over the Nico thing. And that's when Pat Forde was running around going, oh, death penalty's possible. You never know. He literally wrote an article and talked about it in a video. So this has a lot to do with the Greg Schiano thing. Let's just call it what it is. And yes, it is true that the Vols kicked the NCAA's butt in court up in Greenville, Tennessee. There's no question about that.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
But it was going to happen anyway. It was only a matter of time. All they did was expedite it. That's all they did. When you lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court, it really doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
So anyway, they're going to have a settlement here pretty soon. I know they just passed a preliminary part of that where the whole $2.5 billion deal, and that's going to go into effect in 2025. And a lot of this will get dealt with. Not all of it, though, because you still got Title IX, you still got the NIL and all that. But anyway, you know Pat's not going to miss an opportunity to go after us. So anyway, I did want to do a quick video on that because I'm not going to let Pat Forde take his little swipe at us. Anytime he does that, I'm coming. It's just the way it is. I'm like, Dion, I'm coming. We're coming. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button right there. Won't cost you a dime. Helps me out. And right over here's the most recent video, YouTube. Thanks, you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. I've got my eye on you, Forde.